Good evening, Namaste. I welcome you all. My name is Surya Prakash Soni. I'm trustee of FIAV, Federation of Indian Associations of Victoria. This Vichar initiative has been running from last 4 months and it has been highly supported by lots of community members. It's a weekly webinar where we bring all community experienced people on this forum. We share our knowledge, we support each other. The objective of each our webinar is to see a horizontal growth in the community. We expect lots of support from the community by introducing more uh, speakers for this forum so that we can bring new diverse topic to discuss and think about every week. And they're highly like anticipated webinars. People watch live, people watch recordings following day and all. So support, share, like, and subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. And without further ado, we'll begin. And I begin by welcoming our speaker, Mouli Ganguly ji. Welcome, Mouli ji, and thank you for accepting today's webinar as a speaker. And I would also, in the same breath, like to thank Srilekha Jain ji for introducing Mouli ji to this webinar. So I'll quickly introduce Mouli ji. He will share a lot more about himself. I had a couple of sessions with him and I really liked him as a person. He's got very deep knowledge and the topic he's going to touch is very important for the community. And through audio, video, and through movies, he has done a wonderful job. And he'll share a lot more detail about this up and coming movie festival called Seen and Heard. So Mouli Ganguly ji is a Melbourne-based theatre and film stalwart, cultural leader and creative mentor. He is a alumni of IIT Kharagpur, IIM Ahmedabad, and also introduced Bengali theatre in Melbourne in 1986. So a long time ago, and you've got tons of experience with the real world community issues which you are sharing through your movies. You've involved in 40 plus multilingual productions, Bengali, Hindi, and English. And over the last 3 years, 2 full-length features released and acted in a third and award-winning short films. So you're an actor, director, and you're multilingual production. And you've been known affectionately as Kaku within the local Bengali community, a cultural ambassador and mentor. You're working on this Seen and Heard, a powerful multicultural film festival, creative movies in collaboration with ACHRH. So with that note, I will request Molly to make some opening remarks, and at the same time, I'll share his presentation on my screen.
Thank you, Soni ji, for this invite, and also thanks to FIAV for facilitating this. And I think I watched a couple of the Vichar webinars in preparing for this. You're doing a great job. And thank you, Srilekha ji, as well. Srilekha ji and her daughter are very, very keen to work in this creative cultural area, particularly within the community. So that's a great fit. So in the first, if you go on to the next slide, in the first, by the way, all along you will see that particular thing at the back of my screen. You can do a fun exercise during this webinar. You can point your mobile to either the left-hand side of this screen and the recording, and you'll be able to watch the trailer of this of what will be shown on 30th and 31st. If you point to the right, you'd be able to even book tickets. Okay, so it's all automated. So I work with some amazingly creative people. So today's seminar basically is in 3 parts. There is an introduction where Soni ji has requested me to talk about my experience over the last 40 to 43 years, the changes. Then we will cover that in about 10 minutes old, but I'll be mostly telling stories, which some of you would know. Then we'll talk about the why is this festival needed, what is this festival, and how would you join this, okay? How would you be part of this? How do you enjoy this festival? And then we'll have a Q&A session. So we'll show you the trailer in the festival, technology working, and Suriji has his finger poised on that. We'll see how we go. So look, let me take you back to 1982-83 when I came. Australia in those days was very, very different. I mean, for me personally, I always had I was always very passionate about culture and performing and theatre and movies. And from my early school days, I was very fortunate to be exposed to some amazing talents, particularly around Calcutta and the stage and the theatre, etc. Worked with them as well. So when I went into IIT and I was very fortunate because I just wanted to make movies and play sports. I was very surprised that I got in there. But anyway, I got in there, we did the course, but they almost gave me a degree on Bachelor of Dramatics in IIT Kharagpur because he said that the fourth year, which is the critical year, I was traveling all around India participating in drama competitions and things like that, and in all kinds of languages. But anyway, so then came to Australia. I will now reference everything that I say in four pillars which defines me. So the first pillar is business and education, which I have covered. The second pillar is going to be culture, which has been with me for a very long time. There's no presentation in it. Can you go back to the previous slides, Suriji, because that's I'm just talking to it. Uh, and then we'd have the community, and then lastly, we'll talk about spirituality. So when I came into Australia in 82, 83, very, very different country, and I'll put out one one difference stick strikes me in my mind. Um, the and that was that in 84, I think Australia visited India for a cricket match. And there's this picture of this elephant walking down the dusty roads of Delhi, and they're talking about this is what Australians will face when they are in India. I don't think they say any of that now. With IPL, they're all basically can't get to India fast enough and earn a few bucks. Everything has changed very much. Now, in terms of the business and education, was strange in 82, 83. Quite interestingly, the IIT degree was recognized, but no other Indian degrees engineering degrees at that stage. And IIM degree was not recognized. Very interesting. So it was a struggle about who Indians were and the identity in those days. Now, also the people that were there, and I don't know whether there are some old timers out here, they're primarily doctors, a lot of educators, but they hadn't reached the type of rungs that Santosh Kumar ji and many of the others out here have reached. In business, people are just making their first entries into commercial business beyond the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, and some paratechnical kind of resources. So, somebody like Naval Kishore ji, who and others who are successful business people, even they sort of didn't exist. So, if I take one after the other, some of these pieces, um, and why I came to Australia. That's a good one. So after completing my studies, I thought I would have a good time. And remember, I talked about culture. I thought I would go back to Kolkata because even in Ahmedabad, I did a huge play in English. IIT, I did Bengali, Hindi, English. So I was going to do plays and watch plays and have a job by the side. I was never very ambitious in terms of my business, my profession. But as it happened, HCL was one of the very few jobs Calcutta was going down business wise. I managed to get that, but because objective was to get into Calcutta. Once I got there, I didn't do any plays, watched very few, because HCL worked you like a dog. It was one of the first guys sent overseas, and then I got married to a beautiful lady who I still married to, which is one of my big achievements in life. She was actually brought up in Australia, and so I was in Australia. Uh, now, so that was the trouble. It took me 11 months to get a proper job, and I had to start off as a graduate engineer in Telstra, because this whole concept that professionals come from India beyond educators did not exist in Australia in those days. Okay, so that's what the business and technology and business and education background was. Now, coming back to culture, if I talk about the Bengali community was about 80 or 100 people, very, very small. And the there's very little you could do in terms of culture with 80 or 90 people. In terms of pujas, which is always a big part of our equation, people used to do all the pujas in their houses, little things, but there are no temples. Let's look at Australia today. How many temples do we have? How many, like I'm part of the Vedanta Center, where we have set up the temple in East Ringwood. We have got a resident Swamiji, and how many of these spiritual leaders are here to help us with? In those days, there were absolutely none. So that is the next part in terms of spirituality, where it went. Now, in terms of culture, when people talked about forget theater, movies, very little. And then even in 2000s, sorry, in 86, we did the first Bengali play. There are only about 100 families there. And I was so passionate, I said, I must do a play. Now, nobody else had ever acted before. Nobody else had any inkling of stage. So I had to go out there, taught everybody everything. And it was done on the auspicious of BAV. And in 1984, BAV was set up. So that was the community. That was beginning of the community, one of the first associations. Think of the number of associations we have. So in 1986, we did a puja. Then in 1989, sorry, the play, which was very good, I must say, not just because I did it and had to play the main role, but everybody got involved. It was like the total community of 80, 90. Everybody was involved. Everybody wanted to come in and see, because it was about identity. It was doing something with our own language, something to be there. Then, if I move from there to culture, I think many of you would remember in early 2000s, the best thing we could do in terms of culture was there are these videos that are running around. There's this CDs, very poor quality. There are no streaming services, of course. And, there's very little in terms of quality. We are doing some plays, but that was about it. And think of today, how things have transformed. IFFM is the biggest cultural festival in the map of Melbourne, short of MIFF. And what, for example, Mitu has done in terms of just putting us on the map, in those days when the community functions were being held, even as early as 2000, there are very few of dignitaries, etc., coming in. Today, you you go to IFFM, every leader is there. The If you look at the community plays and services that is being done, there are so many of them. I think we all at some point of time feel exhausted that which one should we attend and which one shouldn't we attend. But in every one of these functions, the politicians, the leaders of the community, everybody is there. If you look at Sushilji, for example, our CGI, he goes out of his way to go to these places. In those days, we also probably had a consul general, but we never thought about inviting anybody. So, in all these dimensions, spirituality, business and IT, culture, and finally, community, we have come a very, very, very long way. So, in some ways, what is happening today, uh, you can't really, there's no bearing with what life was in 1980, when I came in 1980 to 83. Now, so with that, I will start moving on to the next part of what has been happening. Now, क्या हुआ है acting huh? Niti, anything? Do you ask a question? No. Okay. Now, uh, one of the things that has happened now is while all the plays that we are doing there, because we are such a small community, was done, for example, in the name of Bengali Association of Victoria. We did it in English and Bengali, English mostly for the kids. Today, if you think of it, there are so many groups, so many playing theater groups. So we are we are having to. I have stepped back from all that a bit because I think it is very difficult to maintain quality if you have got so many teams. But I also, another way, not only IFFM and what is happening there, if you go to any of the mainstream theaters, Indian movies playing everywhere. Once again, thanks to the mind blowing films, the distribution company. And last year, all of you, as you know, we did the My Melbourne project, where I was very fortunate enough to have to get a role. Now, I was thinking of experimenting with movies and translating my theatrical experiences into movies. And what I've seen in my life is that in 1991 something happened and I discovered spirituality. And I have been very, very, I've been, that has become an absolutely a very important part of my life. I feel that there is a force that drives me and I really don't have to do anything. I just follow because I've got no idea what is going to happen next. So I see Nirajji has joined. Nirajji also knows me pretty well. So I was thinking of experimenting with movies, and lo and behold, I get a call from me to we're doing this movie. Would you do this? I said no because it was too big. He said, no, no, you'll do it, you'll do it. So she convinced me. So there was a mentor who came into my life. I was thinking that something would happen, and she came into my life. Then I met with Onir, who was going to direct that play. And initially, I was so daunted. Oh my God! I mean, you've known about these guys from a distance. And he came in, and the way it was like a master class when I was working with them. Absolutely a master class. You just taught the basics of filmmaking. And I realized how little I knew about theatrical arts. I thought I knew quite a lot about dramatics. I have done Hindi plays out here, Bengali play out here, English plays out here from scratch. But geez, I mean, the way and I'll give you an example. So you may remember there was a scene where she was playing the role of the father, and there's this son, and we are sort of having share. He had cooked a meal, which his mother had cooked, and I look at him and I'm very angry at him, and I said, "There's a bit of a aji baji going on in terms of dialogues," and then I shout or do something. So the way the whole thing was constructed was that we looked at each other, there were some looks exchanged, and I just shoved the plate like so, and said, "This is terrible. Your mother couldn't cook it well." And the guy shattered. So that is what I call the power of cinema. Now, the power of cinema in my mind, what I learned there, I'm trying to apply. Before I go on to how I'm applying this in Sin and Hurt, I'll go back to the other aspect, which is the spirituality and community. Community is very important because as our community grows, there are a lot of issues that are coming up, a lot of issues, mental health and well-being issues. And that's what these films are trying to deal with. The second part is, personally, we believe that we are in a Western society and it has given us a lot, but there needs to be a connection with oneself. And as in terms of very simple spiritual terms, the divine is with us. And the purpose of human life is to realize the divinity within you in very simple terms. And that's what I believe. And that is what I'm trying to do. Again, going back to the three pillars, business and education. I can talk about some things that I'm doing, but I'm not very actively there. I'm talking about community, very important for me. Whatever I do, I will do it for the community, not for me. In terms of culture, particularly, I'm focused on cinemas now, stepped away from the other things because you have got a bandwidth. And the last one that is also quite important in the scheme of things is spirituality and being true to yourself. So, uh, uh, in all this, we started doing some short films. Can we go to and that's where this festival is coming. One point that I will say is that there is all kinds of awards. We will come to it later. We have been so fortunate because I think I learned from the masters in the last 18 months, and I didn't know anything about filmmaking, I'll be very frank. So we have won about 28 awards and facilitations, and out of that, there have been awards like best international film, jury awards for best international films, and it is this journey has been just absolutely amazing in my mind, and if I'll show you some of them later on, but if this has been amazing, what is happening right now is even more amazing. Okay, if we go to the next slide, please,
Can I
Suniji.
can I just quickly ask one question there? That when did you
Sure.
start filmmaking? Which year did you start making filmmaking? That is important to know.
Question, I missed that. Thank you very much. So it's actually 22, 23. And really I was fumbling till Mituji and Onir sort of gave me the opportunity, and I just sat out there and I watched and I learned. I had the basics in terms of how to tell a story, but they showed me how to tell a story in films. And something that I will show you actually. It will be a good point to. Can you try and play the trailer? You think you can have a go, Suriji? I'll just make a point. I just talked about that scene. I just want to see if I can show you something.
Yeah, let me try 1 second and share.
If not, we will just give people the link and try it. So we're just trying to show you the trailer of Seen and Heard. And then I'll go in a structured manner on what is Seen and Heard, why did we do it, and things like that, okay? While Soniji is trying to get that going, so we have done about 5 short films. Okay, yes.
I'll try to play it, see if
to tell
you
them
can
what is
hear the
happening
audio.
here.
I can hear it. Good.
Video games. Video games. I knew it back.
Can you go back to the beginning and start it, please? Yeah.
I've called 000. You have to tell them what is happening here.
Video games. Video games. I knew it back then.
আজকে না তোমার অস্ট্রেলিয়ান ফুটবল লিগ টিম জিলং জিতেছে।
They're saying I'm saying things. No, I see you.
Yeah, I suppose we should be thankful that he comes and visits us once or twice a year.
এখন এখান থেকে যাও তো। Rita, we have a guest.
There are 2 double murder investigations underway in Melbourne after a night of tragedy left 4 people dead.
একটা স্মার্ট ইন্টেলিজেন্ট মানুষ তার এরকম কি করে হয়ে যায়?
What would I do without you?
Doctors, lawyers, they all make good money. Why is that so difficult to understand?
ওইসব কথা ভেবে কোনো লাভ আছে কি? আমাদের এখন ভবিষ্যতের কথা কিন্তু ভাবতে হবে।
Thank you, Soniji. So that gives you a sort of sense of what you might see. Now, before I jump into any of the details, can I ask you one question? As you're watching it, did you guys see any reflection of our day-to-day life in there? There are 5 problems we described in these 5 films. We'll come back and talk about that in a moment. But do you see any reflection of our day-to-day life that we live in Australia now as South Asian Australian people? Because we are different from what happens in India. We are different from what happens in Australian. Any questions? And perhaps, Suniji, if you can request people to
Yep.
just respond if they want to.
If
I can
anybody
see
wants.
Sikhaji is nodding her head, and I'm sure Nirajji would have something to say.
Yep. Anybody want to make any observation with the trailer that how is it different from what we see in India? Niraji, over to you. Yeah. Your audio is not coming, Niraji. You need to choose the right audio device. So yeah, the challenges are very unique, local, what we see here. The lifestyle is a bit different, and we take it for granted that we are very well off people coming here and all educated and all, but problems are still similar or even worse.
Can I say something?
Yeah, yes, Niraji, you can. Yeah.
I think these issues are not new issues, but as is being told to us through these episodes, which are coming soon, which I might also be seeing. Nothing new, but they continue still, And I know a lot of people, a lot of girls approached me that they had some problem at home because they think they should contact a journalist, but we are limited by law, not to disclose. So my feeling is that just because we have shifted from a developing country to India is still a developing country technically, to a developed country, things will change, but actually they don't change because our life is determined by objective situation and subjective situation. And the subjective situation, when I say, means what is there in the mind. I am superior than a woman. Why should I cook food? My wife is sick, let her be sick. I'll go out with my friends and so on. And problems start arising. And I am reminded of a Indian incident. If Soniji allows, I'll speak about that.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah.
Very short.
Yeah.
So when I was in Hindustan Times, I used to come home by chartered bus, instead of a DTC bus in Delhi, which we used to pay, I think, 5 rupees from one side, and the DTC bus was 2 rupees. So there was one woman, and normally everybody used to get a seat in the bus. So the lady started just sleeping there, and then there was no seat for one person. So then they started pushing that lady, somebody else, and said, "आप उठिए ना, आप सो क्यों रही हैं यहाँ पे?" कहते हैं आप तो घर जाके आराम करेंगे, मुझे तो अपनी खाना और चाय बनानी है अभी घर जाकर. So such is the situation, and it continues here also, as far as I understand. Maybe there are a lot of exceptions, and things have been improving, especially in the generation after us. Things have been improving. So I think this seen and heard reflects what is existing at the moment, and how to overcome them, which is not going to be easy because of the thing is there in the mind. That's what I want to say.
I think you have summarized what I was going to say so very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Niraji.
Yeah. Look, I'll continue on. I think we should
Yes,
have
please.
some
Yeah,
time
yeah,
for
yeah.
questions later on.
Later on as well.
So I think probably we will come to the individual films and the problems they face. But in the Western society that we have, people come out and talk about their problems. In our society that we have, the social pressure is so much that we hide the problems away. So I think, and I'll take the specific example, one specific example, we'll come back to is dementia. And we'll show you the trailer, you saw in trailer what happens in an Indian family. Typically, they would hide their way. The daughter is trying to protect the father from being taken to a care facility. But the only solution to dementia is to do early intervention. You have to find out. In every case in our situation, when there are problems, we live in a society, the South Asian Australian society, that we are all friends, but we don't want to ever come up with the fact that we can have some difficulties. Anyway, I'll come back to it later, which is the point that Niraj is saying, because this is the state now, it has to change, because the victims, they never, either they don't speak themselves, or even with their friends, they don't want to raise it. Niraj is nodding furiously. So they need to be seen and heard for the problem to be solved. So that's what this movie is about. Okay, so let me just answer a few things and go. So what is seen and heard? I think Niraj has already said it, but I'll say just in my words. It's a very powerful film festival on mental health and well-being. It's a heartfelt celebration of stories that have been created with passion, purpose, and a lot of heart. It highlights mental health and well-being issues. We are talking about issues of very, very horrendous forms of domestic violence, which ACHRH and Dr. Manjula O'Connor and her team is working with. Then we have got domestic violence where a person, when he's talking to somebody, is just like one of us, like attending this webinar, but they turn around and look at his wife and suddenly it's a different man. So that's what you will see in the movie Ektikap, which has been tuned with silence and a song, and I'll cover it in a bit more detail later on. Then Tatsit is grief. Grief, and this is typical in our society. If one of our spouses pass away, I think if we are in the range of Niraj or me, God forbid, I've seen people, they simply drop out of the society. Their social contacts go, they become very lonely. And that it deals in a problem in a particularly stylized way. And I'll come to that. Most of these are technical kind of issues as well. The next problem any of us who have sons would face, there is just an total difference between the way we think, the way we have been brought up and come up with these values and the values that our kids have. It's not to say one is better than the others. But the point is, as part of that problem is in the Indian community, in the age group of say, 16 to 26, the incidence of domestic violence is the instinct violence is very, very high. And the rate of youth suicides are very high. Actually, I must thank Vasanji, the current FIV chair, for this, because he actually originally talked to me about it, because this is something that he was very keen about. And it's the Indian and Chinese communities, apparently, because we put so much pressure, because you have to be 99.99, you have to be this, and that. If not, nothing else. And in this world, you can be anything. So totally, the messages that we give and the messages that the parental ecosystem gives is very different. So those are very real issues, and they've become more so because we live in Australia, but we don't even think about it. So that's what we're trying to do. Okay. Now, all the films that you'll see have won international awards. I don't want to go to the specifics. So we have talked about the subject matters. Ektikap is about domestic violence when you least suspect it. Expectations is a generation gap between generation, father and son, typically less so. Mothers and daughters, you're a bit luckier, probably more so in some cases. That's it is grief when one of the spouses pass away in our community, and Sriti Shatata is dementia, how we deal with it. And again, I'll tell a story. I'll keep telling stories, which is the best way of doing it. After we did Sriti Shatata, we ran a workshop where a couple of the MLS came in, and Monash, that's the only time we received funding. That Monash Council funded that thing, and the Monash mayor came in. And Matt, who is was the MP and has been a consistent supporter of us, he said that, look, he came up in that workshop, there are four of them, and he came up and said, look, my father suffers from dementia. I think I will suffer from dementia. I want to come out here because I want to talk about it. Now, in our community, I know of people who are suffering from dementia. And they said, no, he is, it's just age related. Don't worry, he'll be all right. He'll be all right. She'll be all right. Till she is not, or he is not. So that's what we have to change. We can't be silent. We have to take the steps that the Westerners take. Okay. Now, the next point I want to say is in terms of why would I like people to watch this? I think one point that came out in our discussion is a movie reveals what words cannot. Through silence, what the movies bring out in terms of feelings and emotions and gets things through, a word or a theater simply cannot. Because theater, you're watching at a distance. Movie, when the hall is dark and you're seeing it in a big screen, you are immersed in it. So, and again, when you come, that it'll become clearer. What I was taught, there are some very good reviews with the role that I played. And I think I summarize this this way. That movie, what Anir and Mitu helped me to bring out, was the silent battles of the mind and the power to heal. Because all these movies are not just about defining the problem, but it's about coming up with a solution that there is hope. You can find some healing, and that healing has to be with us. Nobody outside our community can do anything about it. So, and they tell our stories, the stories about our communities, because it's slightly different from the mainstream Australian stories. The way we think is slightly different in some ways from mainstream Australians. So let's just very quickly go through the films because we are running out of time. And then I want to go to the four film, maybe just, can you go to the next slide? No, just the slide before. I'll just very quickly skim through the things and what they are. Just two more slides before. No, sorry, you're going the other way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. Just go back up. So we talked about Ectic Up, which is about domestic violence. It's very, very subtly done, but every time we showed it, people have just absolutely felt stunned. So I'll share three experiences which has happened in the last 2 weeks. So there's this big festival in India where we put it up for. I never thought we would win anything in big festivals, but surprisingly, there is, and I'll show you in the award section, some beautiful trophies they have given. We have won the best international film as a director. The actress that you see in that was crying at the very beginning in the white dress. She has won the best female actor role, and the music composition and the recording has won the award of best background music design. There's a local talent, Chandrima, who sang the song. There's a Pulak Bosch who sort of arranged the music, and Dipanjan who sort of did the recording. So that was phenomenal. So that's part one. Part two is I was invited because this longest running film club, because film clubs are going away, longest running film club invited us to do a movie. So we gave that anyway. So I went into this room, about 70 odd people. Everybody was white. I was the only non-white person. And this movie was in Bengali with English subtitle and the whole, everything. There were only 5 words. The main protagonist, the lady, spoke 5 words in the whole film. Everything was on a movie, based on a music and the song. And at the end of the thing, they all clap. They're just absolutely stunned, and it's just an out of mind experience. And the point is that they understood, and that's a Tagore song, by the way. They understood the essence of that song, and they understood the essence of the feeling. And movie that way doesn't have any language. So that's the most powerful thing about that. And we did an English version of that. That has given us the jury award in an Australian festival in Sydney. So, which is quite surprising that all this is happening. I think I might just skip the rest of the films, except Tatsit is quite an interesting one. This is the only one I haven't directed. Now, I'll talk briefly about the team that we have. We haven't sought for any money. We have funded everything ourselves. Now, Tatsit is an experimental film. There is a issue that is called bereavement hallucination. So this is where people theoretically, this is psychiatrists, and we work with those kinds of people because they know about this problem much more than I do. What would I know about domestic violence? But when I talk to Dr. Connor, she's an expert in our community. So she could tell, I learn a little just listening to her. So this is that when we hallucinate through grief, grief can be so strong. That's where we image the other person is real, the person who has gone away. So that's the movie about. Is she real? What is she seeing? What is he seeing? What is the person seeing when his spouse has passed away? And the good thing is, because the team that we have, there are 4 of us, myself, there is a gentleman by the name of Norman who has directed that movie as an experimental film. He's the real movie maker amongst us. I'm learning very much. Dipanjan is trying to do the sound, and we have won Best Poster Award. All these posters, all our digital art that you see is done by a lady by the name of Shipranand. Okay, so extremely talented people. And then we have got another set of 20-odd people who work with us, who do videography, who do all kinds of things. And everything that we do, we learn. I mean, when I look at the first film, technically it is so bad, it's not worth talking about. And these last couple of films are getting there. So can you go to the next slide, please? So we've talked about these ones. Can you go to the next one? Okay, so these are all the awards. And what I wanted to show is, you can't see it, but there are some beautiful looking trophies coming our way. And these are some of them. And we have got about 28 of what they call this is what you get, a laurel, when you get short selected or one. We have got one. Our first movie, by the way, I would again thank IFFM, that we did where we are so unsure. IFFM gave us a laurel and selected us and streamed our movie Sriti Shatati for 3 months, as they normally do with short films. So so we've got all these other things like Best International Short or Microfilm, as they call jury awards, blah, 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 we have talked about. But we also got shortlisted in Dada Saheb Phalke, which is India's probably one of the biggest ones. And we also got shortlisted on Pinewood Studios UK. But for these things, you have to go there and participate. So we just let it go. So if we move on to the one after that, so this is just the hall in which we are doing the show on 30th and 31st, and they have been excellent. They are like Cinema Nova, a local theater up in Mount Waverly, and they have bent over backwards. So, because it's not easy to put up a festival to show the things. And the main reason we showed it is that there is no distribution channel available for short films. See, the things that we do, we may get awards, but when do we get the chance to show it in a movie theater? How many people out here have actually gone and watched short films in a big screen? Probably not. Nirajji, you must have seen it. You're the most experienced amongst us all. Nirajji smiling. Okay.
I have seen it. I have seen yours, Mouli.
Kahan pe?
I have seen yours, Melbourne,
Oh no, My Melbourne. No, that was not a short film. That was an
part
anthology.
of
That
3 films.
I know, but that I wouldn't call it. These are all less than 15 minutes, so we just go
Okay,
in,
okay.
shoot. That's a different scale. That's a full blow. That's a particular type of full length film called anthology,
Right.
and you can't compare this with that. So Neetu, by the has been very supportive of this. She's decided that she'll come because that's gold standard. And this is here we are community filmmakers trying to do quality films, learning and doing it for the community. That's all. We've got very limited ambition. But the fact that we now will be able to show it in a large screen, that is a start. Okay, I think I have covered everything that I wanted to say. I'll just say, Sonny ji has asked me a question. What would be my advice for other people? Now, first thing I would say is, I just can talk about me. I've got no idea what was going to happen next. I mean, in my life, till I was doing all of this, I was doing two things. I was running large businesses like Asia Pacific or EMEA businesses for people like IBM and British Telecom and such like people. And I have been advising startups, mentor, sort of took a few people through listing stages in fairly high-flown technology like AI uh, and virtual reality, augmented reality, those kinds of spaces. So I never thought that. I wanted to because I always had that passion. But then I'll take you back to the four pillars. Now, the most important pillar, which didn't exist when I came out here, is probably the most important pillar for me now, which is spirituality. If I'm not true to myself and if I can't contribute, I'll not do it because I can afford not to do it. Second is community. I want to do things for the community, but not for me. So if there is conflict, I'll just simply step back. So I've done this puja for big, huge community puja for about 30 odd years. Then there's some conflict. And I said, no, don't need to do it. Because when you're doing the puja, it is about realizing and doing good for people. So let's not get there. And the business and education, one of the things we did last year was through TIE, we actually run a program to teach creatives how to think about business. Because the biggest problem Australia has, you go to IFFM, you go to anywhere, the amount of creatives are just unbelievable. They're so highly trained. They've been to the movie schools. There is no money. I did a film. They cast me for a film. I went up to Sydney to shoot for it, Australian film. And there are 50 people shooting. I mean, similar kind of cast and crew like My Melbourne. Nobody was getting paid anything. And these are people who are, I'm not qualified in filmmaking. I've just learned through association with some amazing people. And I was thinking they're kids. I mean, and I was sitting down with them as I was shooting, and I said that, how do you make a living? How do you make a living? So my first advice is think of your finance. It is nice if you're a young person, nice to be carried over by the hype of technology. But I'll tell you what, every time I see Shah Rukh Khan dancing, the number of would-be Shah Rukh Khans that are there, which are just living a hand-to-mouth existence in Mumbai, I think the numbers will number beggars belief. So you have to have passion, you have to have a dream, but look at what you need to do to get your life together. The second is, very importantly, teach yourself, because this movie making has become very technical. I can only do these movies because though I'm passionate about acting, I had to totally relearn. Acting in a theater is very different from acting in a movie. And I have to totally unlearn what all that I knew and had to learn it again. So it's not an easy path, but it's a very satisfactory path. Very satisfactory path.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anything you want to conclude, or we can ask few questions?
No, I'd like to get some feedback from you. Firstly, I would like you to, when you see the recording, just hold your. Can you put the last slide up? Because you can, if any of you are game, you can actually do it on your screen. If you hover your mobile on the one after that, yeah. So if you scan the scan to book tickets, you can actually book tickets here and now. Tickets are, by the way, $10 because we wanted to make it accessible for sufferers of mental health who may not be financially the strongest part of the society. Actually, I must say a second bit of thanks. I mean, firstly, to our partners, ACHRH. They're a very large organization. They do amazing work. I mean, I've learned so much by working with Dr. O'Connor. The other is the powers that be. Over the 4 shows that you're doing, 4 ministers have agreed to attend. The Vichar, the VMC chair is attending. We have had fantastic support for them because they realize that this will help us to swerve and maneuver and do things which can actually make a difference. Because and the second thing is, what is happening is the movies are also trending down this way because there are big films, but movie making has become very costly and sometimes the returns are not there as much as they used to be before. So anyway, so I think I really appreciate once again, Suriji, that FIIV has chosen to help us, and hopefully you will be able to help us and support us between now and the 30th and 31st. So
Definitely.
I'm just grateful for whatever experience. I mean, I think that man up there has. I've got no idea why I'm doing this, by the way. 3 years back, and Neeraj knows me well. 3 years back, I wouldn't have a clue that I would be doing this. But ठीक है, he wanted me to do it, so we are doing it.
Just a short comment. Ganguly Saab, I think you're doing a good job actually. And as the saying goes, and then people will think I talk too much, Then I'll tell you an incident, what happened with top directors I had. In cinema also, nothing is perfect. In cinema, nothing is perfect. Direction is not perfect. Editing is not perfect. You show me a movie and I'll show you where the mistake is. Even a 4-hour movie, I can take out the mistakes if you know how to do the editing. So it so happened, and I'll conclude with this, that many years back when I was in New Delhi, the Salman Khan movie, what was it called? Sanjay Bhansali's movie, with Aishwarya Rai. What was it called? Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam.
Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam.
So I was watching a preview at the Russian Center in somewhere near Connaught Place. And little did I know that all these people were sitting around me, and I didn't know that. And then I was very attentively seeing it. And there was a song in it where they fly the kites, a very loud song. And so I was just not very happy with it. And during the interval, Sanjay Leela Bansali, I didn't even know him. He asked me, do you think there should be any cut in the movie? I said that song should be shortened a bit, So
Thank you. And I think you can never be happy. That's the other thing about movie making. At some point of time, because you have hours and hours of shoot, and it will reduce down to a 1-minute sequence. Okay, so you can keep doing it, keep cutting it, particularly with these new digital technologies. So you go mad and you say, "Stop! That's it. We can't do anymore." There have been a few questions. Neeraj, can I just address them, please?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So the first question is. Amazing to hear from you and the kind of appreciation you have about people who could be even younger than you. Generally, we find people who become know-it-all after attaining a particular age, but you stayed humble, hungry. Look, I think this is from Rajneesh. Rajneesh, thank you. But the point is, my sense is, see, I've got I happen to have 5 grandkids, and they run in arithmetic progressions, 3 to 11. These are our golden years, and every time I'm with my grandkids, I'm charged up. Every time I work with these young people, they teach me, I mean, the passion, I mean, like the Sydney shooting that I was talking about. It's just amazing, those people. I just sit out there and learn how they use technology. So that's is it possible to have a school for new indie movie makers, for those who want to start? Oh yes, somebody has to come up with the money. See, sorry, this one we have done it very clearly without asking for any government money. There is some statement saying that this needs to be funded, but it's not easy because that's a different kind of. It can be done, but it can be done, but it'll need a lot of work. I mean, that's a separate conversation, and maybe Suriji, you might like to pick that trail up with FIAV at some point of time, if I may. It needs people bigger than me and better than me. Can I just go through the other questions very quickly?
Yep.
Theaters will not show short films because of the promoted as trailers as a short film may impact the audience more than the. This is so true because see, what the basically saying is if you show the short film then as a trailer, then the movie they have to watch, they may not be interested in that. What is happening, the global research is our attention spans are shortening. So these days, any movie that is 3 hours, remember Sangam? I mean, maybe people only of our age will remember. All the hit films, they're all 3.5 hours. Some of them used to have 2 intervals. All those movies are gone. People don't have the patience to watch that. Okay, so it has come in, shortened, etc., etc., etc. But the point is that there are a number of reasons why it doesn't work. So again, I'm so grateful to this theater, and if we can support their effort, because they have gone out of their way. I mean, normally they bring a movie, and there are some big movies that runs there, and they run that easy for them. But this is hard because they're doing a lot of work for us, which they don't have to do for a commercial release. The other word that often gets asked is what next? And I'll be very frank, I've got no idea. I mean, this far, this good. I think one of the issues that may impact on us is I may myself, there have been some talks about some other films. So let's see. But I hope we can find a way of doing what we are doing. So thank you everybody for listening today, and thanks.
I've got a couple of questions myself. So one question is that I'm really impressed, and that's a key takeaway from this one for me to inspire many in the community, that you just started movie making just 3-4 years ago, and we can see 18 plus or something, very big number of awards and selections and all those things. So that's a big inspiration. And you shared that you had to unlearn a lot of things to learn new things. That is a very big takeaway and inspiration for a lot of community members that we need to maintain, because sometimes externally community can support you, but few intrinsic value has to come from within you, and that is where we found creating the foundations of those intrinsic values in the rest of the community through you. Thank you for that. Yeah, please, any comment?
I think if I may comment on that, that's a very important point. For everybody, it's different. For me, it's the spirituality that. See, when I came to Australia, that was not an issue. Okay, but right now, everything that I do is guided by that.
Yep. And there was another question, as you mentioned a few times already, that that it's a costly affair. What number we're looking at for 15 minutes movie, for example, just to create a mindset that people who may thinking that let's create one more short movie for themselves. What number are you suggesting there? What's the in kind versus real dollar value there?
It's difficult. In our case, it is, we have got some really skilled people who are working with us. So, but we can't continue doing that. If we have to improve. Now, the first part in creating a movie is the story. So up till now, the stories we have written ourselves, except for one. And I know I'm limited as a writer. Okay, so but there are some benchmarks. If you Screen Australia has now instituted funding for short films from 1st of July.
Yep.
So they provide a budget of $150,000. But look, I will say that for a 15, 30 minutes short film, even if you realistically, if you want to produce phenomenal quality, and particularly in India, some amazing short films are being produced, and all the major actors and directors from Nasiruddin Shah, Rasika Dugal, you just go out there and watch it, and I sometimes watch it. I urge you to watch them. They're just millions of views. So there is that part of it comes. I'm working with a director out in India who has put out some short films, and she's brilliant. I would love to work with her. Her things that she puts out get 3-4 million views in YouTube. So that brings some monetization. So there are ways to do it. But I think sitting in Australia, it's such a small market, and you can't really do what you can do sitting in India.
Yep.
But the simple answer to question is anything greater than 0 is a good starting point.
Yep.
But to do something useful and which makes a difference is, I think you would need at least somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000. If it's a good story, really polished, because if you look through our films, they're not really polished. They're not. I mean, when you look at My Melbourne and you look at something like this is like child's play.
Yep. And last question, thank you for that. And my last question is around, you touched upon that topic as well, that you spoke about when you see young people going into this creative field and you see many people doing this movie making or creative work. And I can see that you've achieved huge success already in short span of time. I can try to relate that you need to have very good contact. You need to have good passion of your own. How do you summarize your journey compared to a young person entering into this field, where what thing they can, because they're young, they cannot have this many connections. What different they can do?
Look, I think first thing I'll say is that one difference between me and a young person is I basically somehow, and this is where this divine guidance comes in, I got to a point that if I didn't work, I could be okay. That's not the case with them. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is I actually didn't have any contacts in the movie industry. I didn't have no contacts. Even now, I do not have many contacts. I have got a lot of people in the contacts in the community, but they are not movie makers. Now, I've started developing some contacts because of the things that I'm doing. So the other word I use is resilience and patience, because you think X and Y and Z is going to happen. You have to know that it may not happen. Just to give you a sense, I'll again give you an example. This movie that I shot for in Sydney, my role isn't very big. They started writing that movie in 2021. So they have now completed the production, but they do not have the money. They begged, borrowed, and stole. They haven't paid people very upfront. The system was upfront, the actual amounts. But most importantly, movie making is a costly business because the main cost is in distribution, not even in production, unless you have got Shah Rukh Khan or somebody like that ilk, because nobody in Australia pays that kind of money.
Yep, very thoughtful. And what's the challenge with the distribution?
Challenge in the distribution.
It's just a cost, or just it's complex thing to navigate?
It is complex. Has anybody gone into a movie theater on a weekday, say between 11 and 5, or even on the weekend between 11 and 5?
No.
If you go in, sorry, Nirajji, did you put your hand up? Have you been there? How many people were there in the hall at the time that you went?
I was alone.
So there you go.
The whole
so if you want a big hall,
movie
totally darkened,
it was
going for you.
A successful movie, So the total of a movie in overseas distribution is Friday evening and Saturday.
That's true.
Yep. That makes sense now. Yeah.
So that is point number one. And point number two is, therefore, to get into distribution through village and Hoyts and that. See, that is where
Can't go home.
Sorry?
It's all booked up by others, you know.
So that is where I think Mitu has done a great job, because
Yeah.
the chance that we have to go and see these movies
And
is not
Mouli,
easy.
you know, you can't even advertise there, you know. If you want to advertise, let us say Sony Sam makes a movie, or any maybe Mr. Niti makes a movie, some product you want to advertise along with an Indian movie, you can't do it, you know. You have to move through another company which has blocked all the advertising in all the cinema hall. It's so much corporatization, corporate, you know, control, you know, corporate control, you know.
Yep.
It's astonishing, you know.
Yep. Thank you. So conscious of time, but Mouli ji, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
So
Much
with that
appreciated.
note, highly
Was-
appreciate Mouli ji, and all best wishes to your movie show, and we'll all participate there. We'll join. I'll share the link to the WhatsApp group and social media, and I highly encourage audience to comment and share your thoughts on your observation from this webinar and what inspiration took out. And we are very proud to have you in this forum, Mouli ji, and proud as a community as well that you are at this age, you are unlearning, learning new things, and sharing knowledge and wisdom to the community and solving real community problems with that. Thank you so much. And with that note, good night to everyone. And
one last request, Suniji. Suniji, anybody who is coming to watch the movie, please get your tickets early, because what it enables us to do is plan slightly better. Because if people get their tickets early, we know what is happening, what kind of hall we can get into. So and Neeraj ji, even if you nothing else, if you send that message out through your channels, etc., that is very important. Because if people wait for the last moment, then it just makes what is difficult, as we are discussing, even more difficult.
Correct. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank
With
you.
that note, thank you everyone, and we'll meet next week with a very great speaker again. We'll be talking about retirement village, and very interesting new, you may think we're just talking about plain traditional retirement village. Somebody's coming with a very interesting idea to share, and we'll all learn out of that. So with that note, thank you, and we'll meet again next Wednesday, same time. Namaste. Good night.